Alright, so I'll just give you a little overview of what page 4 will look like. We've got 2 flaps going to the sides and a large one that goes up. And then in here we will have 4 of these cards that when you open them they do the picture change. There's going to be 1 on each side. Oh, and that one just came apart. So we'll each do that. Okay. Okay, the pieces for page 4 that you will need 1 piece for the large flap, measuring 10 by 8. That's your A piece. You will need 4 B pieces, and they measure 3.5 by 7 1/4. So 4 of those, 3.5 by 7 1/4. You'll need 4 C pieces, and they measure 3.5 as well by 7 3/4. 4 D pieces, they measure 3.5 by 5 1/4, and 2 E pieces, which measure 4.5 by 7. Alright, so get those pieces all cut out, and then we will start scoring things. So your A piece, put it in your scoreboard with the 8-inch side at the top, and you will score at half and at 3/4. Your B pieces each will be scored at 4 3/4 along the 7 1/4 inch side. So 4 3/4 on the 7 1/4 inch side. Okay, and then your C pieces will be scored at 3 7/8. So right before the 1 tick before the 4-inch mark. Okay, and then your D pieces will be scored at half along the 5 1/4 inch side. And lastly, your 2 E pieces, half along the 7-inch side. So 7's at the top and a 1/2 inch score. Okay, now you can put your scoreboard away again. And grab your score tape, and we will add score tape to the D and the E and the A pieces, or A piece. Your B and C pieces do not get any score tape. And make sure, as always, you do not go over the score line. You want to make sure you leave a little space between the score tape and the score line itself. Now we will miter the corners of each of those. What's the matter, buddy? What is that? Hi. Hi. Oh, is Mommy not giving you attention? Hi. I'm right here. They get very jealous when I'm crafting that Mommy's not paying attention to them. Okay. Alright, get all those little bits out of the way. And now bring your base page in. Make sure you've got it the right way up. And fold on the score lines of your A piece. Use your bone folder to crease those score lines, and then we are going to adhere this to the top of your base page. So remove the backing of the score tape. So we've got that little bit of a, how can I show you best? There it is. So we've got that little bit of a gusset there because it's going to be going over quite a few things. So you want to make sure it has room to go over them properly. No, sorry if my big head's in the way. Okay, so that one there, and now your two E pieces are going to go to either side of your base page. And you can measure it exactly because we're going to put them centered top to bottom. I'm, as I usually do, going to eyeball it. But yes, you can definitely do it exact. And then just make sure they're lined up together. Alright, so once you've got all three of those pieces on, we will just add some magnets real quick. So 2 magnets on one of your E pieces, add a tiny bit of score tape, just about at least a ½ an inch from the edge. Remove the backing. Place 2 magnets on each of those pieces of score tape. So 2 there, 2 there, and then another small piece of score tape on top of each of those. My nails have finally gotten all nice and long, And I thought it would make removing score tape backing easier, but it actually seems to make it harder. Okay, and then close that up. And there you go, you've got your magnets there. You might want to even put your magnets a little further so that on this side they're a little closer to the edge. It works that way as well, but you might want to do it a little bit further away. Okay, now we're just going to set this aside, the base page aside for a moment, and we are going to start working on your B, C, and D pieces. Alright, so for the B pieces, you are going to need a craft knife and a cutting mat. And we are going to cut a hole in each one of them. So you've got your score line right here. Okay, so on the larger side, you need to cut a hole, a rectangle that is 1 5/8 long, like across, by 2.5 inches high, and we want it to be 1/2 inch from the top, 1/2 inch from the bottom, and 1/2 inch from the right hand side. So first we will mark 1/2 inch at the top, and 1/2 inch at the bottom, and then 1/2 inch from the side. Okay, so starting at that 1/2 inch at the top, you need it to be 2.5 inches, so draw a line. So you've got that little tick that's 1/2 inch from the right hand side, so with your ruler along that, draw a line that is 2.5 inches long. Okay, and it should be perfect with your top and bottom marks. And now along each of the top and bottom marks, so the 1/2 inch here and the 1/2 inch mark here, draw a line that is 1 5/8 inch long. So that's the tick just past the 1.5. And then do the same on the bottom. 1 5/8. Make sure your ruler's lined up with that 1/2 inch mark that you've made. And then join the rectangle together on this side. Alright, so hopefully, oh, I should have done, I'm going to do it, I'll do it again in a something darker that you can see. I'll do it in this marker here. Okay, so this is what you should have. Alright, you've got, need better light. So you've got 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the bottom. Alright, so now we need to cut out that rectangle. So using your ruler and your craft mat, we'll cut out that rectangle. Please don't cut yourself. Okay, so it should look something like that. Now you need to do that to all 4 of your B pieces. And an easier way, now that you've already measured it once, you can put one B piece behind the other B piece and just go like that and trace the opening and then cut it, and that way you know that they're all going to be the same. Alright, so I'm going to cut out all 4 of mine and I'll be right back. Alright, so now you should have 4 pieces that all have a rectangle cut out of them with a 1/2 inch along each side, 1 5/8 wide, 2 1/2 inches tall. So 4 of those. And now we are going to take our C pieces, fold them on the score line, and with the opening to the right hand side, put it behind B. Okay, so you've got, this is your C piece in behind, and you've got the opening here, and it's lined up with the right edge of B. Okay, and now you're going to do the same thing as you did for your B pieces and trace, make sure I'm in frame here, trace that hole that you've just cut. Remove the B piece, and now you're going to cut through both halves of piece C along that same track there. So you're going to have the exact same hole on both your B and your C pieces. To push a little harder because you're going through 2 pieces of cardstock now. This whole page is a little bit time consuming, but it will look really cool when you're done. Okay, so put your C piece, this is the opening of your C piece, line it up with the right edge of your B piece. Draw your rectangle and cut it out. Oh, I'm going to do that to all 4 of my C pieces, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now you should have 4 B pieces that all have that rectangular hole cut out of them. And don't worry if they're not perfect. Mine aren't perfect. There's some slight variation, so it's not, don't worry about it. It's all good. And then you have 4 C pieces that should all look like that. And again, see, there's slight variations. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You're having fun. This is all that matters. And woohoo! Okay, so now I find it a little bit easier. I think we should put some of the pattern paper on now. You can do it when it's all put together, however, I find it a little bit easier to do it now, so let's do that. You will need to cut 8 pieces that measure, what do we got? We got 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. These pieces are going to go inside your C pieces. Okay, so I'm using orange for the inside. Pick whatever color you like, but I'm going to go with the orange. And then you will also need 8 pieces that measure 4 1/2 by 3 1/4. So those pieces are going to go onto the front and they're going to go onto your D piece, the back piece. Okay, so 4 of those. So I've cut mine and inked mine all up. We are going to have to cut the windows out of them. So let's work with the inside of C first. So don't put the adhesive on the pattern paper because you don't want any adhesive in the center here. So put your adhesive on the inside here. I'm just going, you can use score tape for ease of, for time constraints. I'm going to use, oh, but I need to change my, okay, I'm going to change this and then we will start adhering. Okay, now, I guess we can move this out of the way for a minute. So put your adhesive all the way around the edge here. Make sure not to have adhesive right in the center on your score line. Okay, so hopefully you can see where, by the shininess, where I've put the adhesive. So not on the center score line, but you want it everywhere else. And I just realized that I have a little bit on the center score line, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Don't do that. Okay, now adhere your first 2 pieces. This might be a little too close to the edge. Yeah, remember that your paper at the length, at 3 and, was it 3.5, is going to be slightly shorter, so you want to make sure you don't have adhesive right to the very, very edge. Mine's just a tiny bit too close to the edge, so I'm just kind of rolling it a little bit. Put it closer to the, closer to around your window. Okay, so it's going to look like that. And now you're going to have to cut these 2 windows out again. So I'm just going to put it on all 4 pieces and then I'll cut out my windows. So the inside, go close around the window here. Another couple lines here. Okay. There's the second one. The nice thing about score tape, the ATG tape, well, score tape as well actually, is that if you do get a little bit, off, a little bit out of the lines or whatever, and you have adhesive where you don't want it, you can use your finger and actually kind of roll it off. Okay, so don't be frightened by it. Alright, so now we are going to cut out these holes again. Alright, so trace it, and use your craft knife and mat to cut it out again. You can put the pattern paper on before you do all your cuts, but then you're going to be going through 4 pieces of paper, and I found that a little bit difficult. I mean, if you can do that if you want, it's definitely doable, but I find it easier to go through just a couple at a time. Okay. I might want to go over that one more time and do it a little bit neater. Hi, buddy. Hi. Hi, buddy. I hear you. What's up? Hi. Okay, so you've got an opening. You might want to do a little inking around the edges of that opening. And then you just want to do that to all 4 of your C pieces. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to do the other 2 pieces. And then your next pieces will go onto the front of B. So you're going to adhere it the same way. You're going to go around the opening with your adhesive, whatever kind you're using, and go up to, but not right against the score line. Okay, and you're gonna put your pattern paper on the front of B. So this is the indented side right here. So you want it on the front, and then you're gonna cut out that hole in the pattern paper as well. Okay, so I'm gonna do that for all 4 of mine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you should have 4 pieces now that look like this. These are your C pieces. So you've got the edges are all inked. You've got the pattern paper on, so 4 of those. Okay, your B pieces should now look like this. I'll do the last one with you. So this is the pattern paper on it, and then we just need to cut this part out. So get your craft knife. Oh, didn't go quite through on that side. Still. There we go. Okay, so cut it out like that, and then if you're inking, you don't have to do this, but I just like the look of it, so I'm just going to take my blending brush and just kind of go around each of the edges here. Okay, so it's inked up. And now our next step is to take each of our C pieces, close it up, and we're going to put adhesive all on the front here. So you can use score tape or ATG gun, whichever you desire. Okay, so we've got glue. Your opening is to the right. Now you're going to take one of your B pieces and you are going to line up the open edge with the right edge of B. Okay, so you've got B and C is on the inside. Okay? And you can fold in B, that other part of B if you so desire. Okay, so this is what you will have. Okay, so we're putting adhesive onto the front of C. The opening is going to be towards the right hand side. Okay, so opening is right here, and this is going to, the B is going to go right on top of C. I'm just turning it because it's a little bit easier to adhere that way. Okay, there we go, and you can fold in that end flap on B. Okay, so you've got B on top, and there's C. Alright, there's a little bit of space. This is where C folds, B folds. So that part of that flap of B that folds will hit just on the edge of your square. Okay, see that? And do the last one. Alright, so now you've got 4 of those. Now we need to bring our D piece in. Okay, put your cutting board aside. Now each of your D pieces, fold on the score line, and they are going to go in behind. Alright, so you've got, this is the back side of C. Okay, so the D piece is going to adhere right there to the back side of your C piece. Okay? And it should be perfect so that everything closes up. That's the D piece there, okay? That's your little flap. So you've got, this is B, this is C, which is now attached to B, and this is D, which is now attached to the back of C. So it folds up like that, and now as you open it, You start out by looking at whatever is on your D flap. This is the D flap. And then as you open it, that B portion slides into place. Okay? So get your D flaps on, and then we will go from there. Okay, so once your D flaps are on, we can put pattern paper on them. Alright, so remember we cut out 8 of these. So now we're going to put the pattern paper on this D piece. So let's adhere that. And then we will need to cut our pieces that will be actually shown in the windows. Alright, so the image that you will see first is what is on your D piece. So you need something. I want to have the Master Detective showing like that. Make sure it's straight though. And then I want one of the people to show as soon as you open it up. Okay, so you'll need to trim them down just a little bit. If you're using these things, you'll need to trim them down a little bit to, what do we need to trim them down to? Just a smidge off the top and the bottom. So they will be ruler. You can keep them at the width they are, which is just 2.5, and then by about 3 5/8. Okay, so you'll need 4 that say Master Detective, and then 4 people. Or if you're doing it this way, you don't have to. So I'm going to decide which people I want to show up in the slots, and I'm going to cut them down, and I'm going to ink them, and then we will put them on. Books are going to sit like this, all opening towards the inside of the page. So I want a victim one here, which means I need it right here on the back of D. Okay? See where that's going? Now I want to make sure that it's lined up in the center. So I'm going to kind of hold my finger there. Alright, now I know where it has to go. Alright, so that goes at the back of D. Bring it down just a smidge. Okay, and then I'm going to do another victim one down here. So I'm going to cut just a smidge more off the bottom. Okay, so you see where I'm putting this? It is going, when you open the card up, it's going right at the back of D. Or sorry, I guess it's the front of D. There we go, that's perfect. So now we've got the 2 victim ones. Now I'm going to put Master Detective in the other 2 boxes. Alright, so now you've got 4 little pieces on your D. Let's get these out of the way. But now, when you open each one of them, that part slides in. So now you need to put something right here. Okay, so on each of them, so we want a face or something on each of those. So I'm going to do Sherlock Holmes, Professor Moriarty, Mrs. Hudson, and Watson. You can do whoever you want. Maybe I should do a redder one actually to match. Maybe we'll do Mary instead. Okay, perfect. So, behind the victim, I want Mary. So I'm going to put Mary right here. I'm going to kind of slide her in so I know what's going to show. So I'm going to have to cut a little bit of this bottom part off. So I'll put some adhesive on the back. And kind of slide it in there. And then when you've got it aligned the way you want it, press down. Oh, but I've got it a little bit too far. I'm going to cut this part off. So it's not going to be centered perfectly on that little B flap. So you're going to have to kind of play with it, and you know, once it's in the open position, see where it's going to sit, and that's where you want it to be adhered. So I'm going to cut off this edge. So that's all you're going to see of Mary. So this is closed, and then when you open the card, Mary slides into view. Okay, does that make sense? Alright, now for the next one. Maybe we'll put Professor Moriarty up at the top. I kind of like the way it looks though when there's kind of red and green and green. Not that it really matters. Alright, so let's do Sherlock Holmes next. So, just going to kind of slide that in there and see where he fits perfectly. So that's where he fits perfectly, okay. I'm going to have to put some adhesive on the back. I hope this is making sense. So we're just sliding it in. You've got some adhesive on the back, but you want to make sure you've got it lined up the way you want it to look before actually letting the adhesive adhere. Okay, so I'm holding it there. Now let it adhere, so you've got that perfectly on the block, and now you're going to have to trim what's left around the edge here. Okay, Doing again the same thing, so I've got adhesive on the back of the Professor Moriarty. Okay, and this is the D piece, this is the back. So I've just got it placed in there, just so I know what's going to show. And now I can trim off this bit here. Because each one's going to be ever so slightly different, probably, because of, maybe you were exact. Maybe every one of your openings is absolutely perfect and the same, but mine are not exactly the same. So kind of go through each one. The last one is Watson, so I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of him. And then with everything open, I'm just going to place them in behind, get them to where I like the way it looks, and then let it adhere. Alright, once you've got your pattern paper on each of those, so that they flip like that, now we're going to put adhesive all over the very back, and they're going to go down onto the center of your base page. Okay, so I've got a couple pieces of the pattern paper on here, and I've put some square tape on the back of these. So now we want to take off the tape backing and adhere them all down to your base page. So get rid of the backing here. Easier said than done, as always. Okay, there's the first one. So you want each of the openings, you want the two on the left-hand side to open towards the left, and the two on the right-hand side to open towards the right. Alright, so there we have it. So it looks like that, and then as you open them, there you go. I thought that was quite cool. Alright, and now this closes up, and we'll put a piece of pattern paper here. So I'm doing the green, kind of checkered. I guess it's more plaid than checkered, isn't it? Plaid. So put that down there. And these two are going to be some gears. This particular piece of paper is from the Steampunk Spells, I believe. I wanted some gear paper, so going with this one. And the same on this one. Okay, that is page 4. Woohoo! And now you can set this aside, get your new base page, and we will work on page 5.